How's it going, guys? And welcome back to BL3's Forgotten, the series where I take a look at underused and not often talked about pieces of gear to determine whether or not they deserve to be remembered within the modern meta of the game or should be left behind and forgotten. And today we are taking a look at the Frozen Devil. If you would like to farm a Frozen Devil for yourself, you're going to want to fast travel over to Nagul Nashai over on Xylurgos. From there, you're going to run all the way over to this save station here, and there you have two options for how you can actually farm Kukuajak. You can run all the way around this long path where you will come up through the way that you're supposed to actually come up, but you can also enter in through the exit if you have a Snowdrift or are playing Zane. You run right over to this vent, you slide off, you jump after you slide, and you should be able to make it into this vent. It can take a little bit to figure out the first time, but once you have it figured out, it is incredibly easy to do. And then from there, you just run along the path. At the end, you'll find Kukuajak, kill him, there you go. The Frozen Devil is a Legendary Maliwan pistol, which is locked to cryo damage. It has two firing modes, Ice Spike and Cryogenic. Cryogenic shoots it.
Wait, what the fuck is this shit? This isn't the right goddamn game.
Cryogenic shoots a continuous cryo laser beam, and the Ice Spike mode consumes 4 ammo per shot, and every single shot can be charged for extra damage. This projectile deals splash damage, and to enemies which have been frozen by the cryogenic beam, they take 720% bonus critical hit damage from specifically the Ice Spike mode. Also interesting to note is that the damage type of the Frozen Devil, despite being a pistol, is not actually pistol damage. It is SMG damage. So if you want to boost the damage of this gun, you need to be using SMG damage bonuses instead of pistol. So the Frozen Devil isn't necessarily bad, it's just very gimmicky, but that gimmick is very difficult to actually play around. Luckily, you don't exactly have to play around it because the Ice Spike mode is actually just pretty good, and against a lot of trash mobs, the cryogenic mode can also be pretty okay. This isn't a gun that's going to be taking on Guardian Takedown, or let alone True Guardian Takedown, but it can actually pump out some pretty decent damage with the Ice Spike mode on True Maliwan Takedown, which is good enough for me to recommend it if it's a gun that you enjoy. But the actual gimmick, the freezing into the crit damage, is very easy to understand on paper, but very difficult and has a lot that actually plays into it and makes it very inconsistent in practice. The biggest issue is it is incredibly hard to actually freeze things in this game without outside sources impacting that chance. Especially with the tougher enemies that have way more health, it's almost impossible to freeze them. Like in True Guardian Takedown, I could shoot at an enemy as long as I wanted to and it just would not freeze. No matter what, it would not freeze. Even though it was very slow to kill it, it would die before it froze. So against tougher enemies, it's almost unusable in that sense. Okay, so why not freeze it with outside sources? Well, it specifically has to be that this gun is what does the freeze. So holding this with a Frozen Heart or Snowshoe and activating it does not give you the bonus to the Ice Spike damage. Well, then it must be good on Zane, right? Because he has things like R-Man Flint and things like Brain Freeze, which will let you actually freeze things very consistently. No, that would be too easy. That also counts as something else freezing because that freeze effect doesn't come from the cryo mode itself. But what about R-Man Flint? You're getting the damage from the gun itself. You're getting the freeze from the gun itself, except apparently not, because R-Man Flint applying those status effects while you're ADS counts as something else other than this. There's no way to boost your freeze chance without, I assume, cryo efficiency stat boosts with the Frozen Devil. And you know what the worst thing is? Even when you do freeze something with the Frozen Devil's cryo beam, it doesn't always work. I have no idea what it is with this boost, the 720% crit damage. It just does not function. It's really unfortunate because it actually would be really good, and it is really good sometimes if you're able to get that freeze. If you were to be able to fully build around this gun for that crit damage, this could be solid, but the freeze chance is just too low, and even if you manage to do it, there's a good chance it just does not count towards it anyways. The best thing I was able to find with this was using it with Clone. He uses the cryo beam, and it's able to proc the 720% again sometimes, so you can run around with the Ice Spike. The only problem with that is the beam is actually very short range, and Clone does way too much damage, so he kind of just ends up killing things himself most of the time. This gun has its issues. This gun needs a bit of a touch-up. It needs to be more consistent and actually getting that bonus, and it needs to be buffed in a way that actually boosts its cryo freeze rate. If it worked like the gun that it's based off of, where you were guaranteed a freeze after a specific amount of time spent actually hitting the enemy with the beam itself, then that alone would make this gun usable, because the base damage of it isn't bad, and also because the base damage of it isn't bad, it is still usable in its current state, just not in the fun and unique way that it could be. But But that's gonna about do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, all of that. And I hope to see you guys in the next one.